Eating out, it's a wonderful thing. Someone's there to bring you food, bring you drinks, clean up after you. Someone is there to make sure that you have everything to have a peaceful and delicious meal. And that someone is also known as a waiter. When you go out to eat, statistically you talk about your waiter at least one time during your stay at the restaurant. Did you ever think that maybe your waiter talks about you? Well, they do. A lot. They talk about you from the minute you sit down till the second you get up. And now, they have a few things to share with you.
The one thing I think that people do not know about serving is that we talk about you behind your back all the time.
Here's a pet peeve. Hey, you were a great server. I love it. I loved everything you did today. Less than a 10% tip. Verbal tips suck.
People just lose, I don't know, they forget like how to be human beings. It's like they walk into a restaurant, it's like the first time they've ever stepped on earth.
You know, you have those customers that you approach them and you're like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, hey, yo, get me a Pepsi. And it's like, hello, how are you doing?
People really kind of think that they kind of think of you as a servant and not a server, and it's kind of like, do this for me now, and people snap at you. Like, people snap at you, and when people, you know, it's like sometimes I want to say to people, how often are you 110% perfect at your job every day and everything goes perfectly from everything above you and everyone below you? It's like sometimes things go wrong and people act like you just murdered their family.
It's a lot harder than you think, and we don't do it just to serve you food. We actually do it to make our fucking living.
I think everybody should spend at least 1 month in their life serving tables if they really understand how difficult it is and how much we go through.
Waiting tables can be very stressful at times, but there's that one thing that makes it all worth it.
I serve because honestly it's easy money.
I serve to make money.
It's fast, easy money.
For dead presidents, I gotta get that money.
It's an easy way to make money and quicker than working a full-time 9-to-5 job.
It's money every day.
I would say that my least favorite thing is just the bad customers that don't tip, obviously. When you have a $100 bill on a table that makes a million modifications and sends stuff back and is just a huge pain in your butt, and then they don't tip you, and it's like, awesome.
If it's pretty decent, I'll probably give them like $5 or more.
I usually double the tax, or I always do 20%.
But generally, 20 to 25%.
When people do not leave the correct amount of tips that they're supposed to, we are taxed by the IRS a specific amount, which is over 12%. So if they leave less than 12%, we're basically paying for them to sit at our table.
I always make sure the tables are happy. I do care. I don't know why.
I'll give you a smile and I can still hate you.
In my own mind, I'm a great server, but other tables may not have that same opinion.
I make sure every table is happy.
Well, even if I'm having the shittiest day, I don't show it. And I'll approach my guests with, a great attitude.
Say I have a table and there's 5 people. I know what every single person has in their glass, has in front of them on their plate, how it's modified.
Lack of no mistakes. Does that make sense? Lack of no mistake.
Yeah, sometimes I'm not on purpose though, and I don't really care.
I expect as soon as we sit down within a minute to get water.
Refill my drinks.
To be polite.
I like the water refilled.
To make sure they get me everything I need.
Fast service.
And to make conversation not to be awkward.
I'm not that bossy because I usually try not to piss them off because I always worry about something will happen to my food.
My friend, who I will not name, she had this table that stole her tip from the table before. She saw them put the tip down. Her hands were filled with dishes. They sat at the table. People had taken the tip from her table before, so she was out like $15. They were total trash, just like making her run around and do all kinds of crap and were totally nasty to her. So she was taking out their chowders and she spit in them. And then the bitch at the table sent her chicken sandwich back 3 times. 3 times. And on the 3rd time, one of our friends was bringing it out, and she's like, is that for 601? And my other friend was like, yeah, totally, I was just going to drop it off. And she's like, no, I'll take that. She went to the back corner of the restaurant and picked up the filet and licked both sides of it, spit on the bun, mushed it together, and served it to her.
One mistake I made once, I had like somebody's old drink that I meant to throw in a bus tub, and I was gonna make a new drink once, and instead of putting the old drink in the bus tub, I put the old drink in the new ice that I meant to make for a new drink, and nobody noticed. I was like, okay, we'll just use that ice.
There was one when I completely forgot to put in a table's order for a really, really long time. I was in a big hurry, I was all freaked out and stressed out like I always was when I was new, and I grabbed what I thought was a cherry Coke. Brought it to this 13-year-old kid, you know, he graduated from 8th grade or whatever, and his family, and then came back a couple minutes later, see if everything's okay, and I gave him a rum and Coke instead.
A server walked up with a really hot skillet and dropped it on somebody's head.
And like I said, there's 10 of them, so I had this tray of drinks, you know, and I'm like walking up to them, and then it's like all of a sudden like fast, and then it spilled on literally every one of the guys. Got hit with the beer. Every single one of them. All like their expensive cigars were like wilted and wet.
Apparently the drink I made had a little tiny piece of glass in it, right? And that killed a woman.
I'd say overall my goal is to become a screenwriter.
Yes, I want to be a public defense attorney.
I'm getting married pretty soon. So that's a goal. I'm going to accomplish that in 7 months. And school, I'm really interested in being a nurse.
One day, I like to have a lot of dogs and have a lot of money with dogs. And I like food. So if I could become, you know, some human resources person that has my own restaurant with a bunch of dogs, that would be awesome.
I would like to be an actress. Or if I don't do that, I like to be a sports newscaster.
My goal is to have my own sitcom on television, network television.
And maybe travel around the world a little bit.
Public speaker that travels, radio show host, anything like that would be awesome.
Personally, sound engineer.
I think serving will help me get to where I want to be in life because it gives you different experiences, first off with people and interacting with different situations, and it definitely helps you open up your personality. You can't be a quiet little mouse going up to a table. You have to be able to whip out your left tit.
It's helping me feel more comfortable with people I've never met and going on to people that might intimidate me by the way they act real mean at first, but then I crack them open, get them to, you know, smile a little bit. Just give me a little bit to work on my toes and kind of improv, so to say.
There's not any other job that I think I could do where I could be as flexible if I had an audition or if I needed to do something like this right now. There, I could be like, hey, can you take my shift? Can I come in later? So, like, that's the best thing about serving.
And you learn how to work under stress, under pressure, and you learn how to, you know, really be patient and act in a certain way to make ends meet. And it's really important to have that skill when you're working in the real world.
I think that me being able to talk to different people and ask them questions and communicate and be personable and always learn how to basically put a smile on my face, no matter how bad my day is, I think that's really gonna help me in the communication world.
Like, you have to let a lot of stuff go when you're a server or a bartender. You have to like deal on an emotional level with people a lot of times, and the things that they say and the things that they do can affect you really emotionally. And so you have to be able to separate your job from your personal life. And I think it does help you do that.
So remember, that someone who you call a waiter is also called a human being. And the next time you feel the need to be inconsiderate towards your waiter, just remember that.
You know, I'm here to serve you. I'm not here to be your bitch.